Hello and welcome back to Will I Vike It? Today my guest is Nicky from Annotts Pots. Welcome to the show, Nicky.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, welcome to you.
And so I gather this is your first podcast as well. So
It certainly is. Yes, I did
wow.
try taking a video, but I was trying to throw at the same time on the wheel and hold the phone, and it didn't quite work out very well.
I'm now intrigued as to what did you drop the phone? Did you drop the pot? What happened?
I think it was all very, very wiggly, and yeah, it wasn't. And
Okay.
also, you start saying something, and then suddenly you go, "Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what comes next."
All right. So I guess a good place to start is maybe if you explain to people what it is that you do. I mean, there's a clue from what we've just been talking about, but
Yeah, I make pottery, historical pottery from about 4000 BC all the way up to about 1800, 1850, maybe at a pinch, but then it becomes more like factory stuff. So yeah, I stopped thereabouts. Mm.
okay. And one thing I should probably know, because I've bought a fair few pots from you at this point, but I don't actually know, is why is it called Annotts Pots?
Ah, well, the very first reenactment I got into, you have a new persona, a different name, and they
Yeah.
gave out a list, and I think Annott was one of the first on the list, and I thought, yeah, Anne is my second name, so Annott. I thought, yeah, I can remember that. And
Yeah.
then when I'm thinking like, oh, I'm actually selling stuff, Annott's pots sort of trips off the tongue better than just Nicky Young. That's a boring name,
Yeah.
really, isn't it? So, and most of the reenactors would know me as Annott. And it wasn't
Yeah.
until we've got this Facebook now that everybody knows your other name. So I really have like two personas. There is Nicky and there is Annott. So most of the reenactors know me as Annott, but it comes as a
Yeah.
surprise when you find out people's real names.
It's funny because so most people know me as Saxon Forager, but
Yeah,
I think, yeah, or Craig. I don't
yeah,
think that many people know my reenactment name because it doesn't come up. I'm just known as Saxon Forager,
that's it. Absolutely.
but it's
Yeah.
actually Athelwolf. But
Oh,
there
I didn't know that.
you go, you see. Um, so what did the reenactment come first or did pottery come first?
No, pottery. Well, babies came first. So a
Yeah.
baby came, and I thought I need to get out of the house. Let's go to a nightclub, not a nightclub. Let's go and yeah, get educated or something. So then I thought, oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's some pottery. Let's try that. And then I started making some weird sort of things like I don't know, half a torso that if you sit it on the TV, looks like someone's diving into the TV.
All
Um,
right.
Weird and wonderful. Then some
Yeah.
jewelry. And then I started selling to people on the market stall because once you start getting loads of things, you think, oh God, I've got to get rid of this. What do I want with all this stuff?
Yeah.
uh, so someone on a market stall was buying it. So it wasn't until the second baby came along and he was about 2, my father-in-law said, oh, there's a reenactment going on and it's history and you'll like it. And it kind of combines the two things, really, doesn't it? Sort of lots of
Mm.
crafts going on and history. So yeah, he recommended me, and that sort of set me on a path then, which then guided the kind of pots I would make and what I'd do. So the very first year, I think 80, let's see, 86, 1986, my son had his birthday there, yeah, so it was about then. Um, yeah, so I made a pot, I made a cup for me to drink out
Yeah.
of. And it's what I imagined a Tudor, because it was a Tudor reenactment at Kentmore Hall in Suffolk.
Mm.
Um, and it was a cup that I thought it would look like the right thing, but obviously it wasn't researched. But then somebody loved that cup, and one of the reenactors, and they bought it off me. I had 3 little gargoyles, like in the inside of the cup.
Yeah.
So they fell in love with it. And then somebody said, oh, why don't you go and research, and do it properly? So it kind of, yeah, it sort of grew from there, really. So I started going up to I was always going up to museums anyway, and I'd go up and look at all the different pots and things. And I think I went to a lecture, and then this was in the Museum of London, and I think run into Jack Green, Mad Jack, and we all stayed talking to this woman, and she said, you know, you can go down in the archives. And I was gobsmacked, because I thought, well, I haven't got a degree, I'm just nobody, and you'll let me run wild in you know, a museum, which I found absolutely fascinating. So we had this tame little person. We could go into the archives anytime we wanted, which was really handy. Plus, then I started buying books about pottery, line drawings, you know, so you've got dimensions and things, and started doing it a bit proper. So it's mostly Tudor, because yeah, this was the Tudor recreation. It was really big in its day. I mean, Kentwell Hall would be on for about 3 weeks at a time. I'd go for about 2, which was fabulous, because you've got young kids, two boys, take them there. You haven't got to cook, they're going to cook. You're just camping, and you've got time to watch your kids play, and it's a really safe environment, and becomes like a community, like a family kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually somebody said, oh, can you make Roman? I'm doing this Roman thing. So I said, yeah, of course I could. And I thought, oh, hell, I better go and find out how to do Roman. So yeah, then I started researching different periods as well. Oh, and I'd forgotten, Kentwell Hall, they had, they said, all right, we're going to have things for sale for the public coming in, you know, that they feel that has been made on the manor. What can anybody produce? So I said, oh, I can do necklaces. I thought, yeah, plague necklaces, all sorts of other things. And they said, all right, yeah, we'll have those, but we want 400 little pots. Oh, I'd never thrown in my life, right? Up until then, I was still doing sculpturing things. And 400 little pots? Okay, I said, yes. You have to be mad enough to say yes, take up the opportunity, and then I had a whole year to learn how to throw. I think at this point I was still going up to college and using their facilities. I didn't have a car. My mum lived nearby, so I'd make some pots, maybe 20 a go. And then, you know, those big trays you get in Tesco's where they got fruit and veg. I'd put all the little things to take home to sort of like make them into some, you know, nice little pot when they're thrown. And then when they're dried, take them back on the bus in a box. It's crazy. These 400 pots, they actually got over the whole year. But you know, you just have to be mad, don't you? When somebody says, can you do something? You say yes, and then you think, oh, better make.
Did you, other than you sort of looking at the historic pottery and the books and things, did you actually have any guidance, a teacher or anything like that? Or was it just learning as you went?
Totally self-taught. I also had troubles because I am a bit left and right-handed. And apparently I was throwing left-handed on a right-handed wheel. Some wheels go both ways. But I didn't know this. It wasn't until I went somewhere, and I think somebody was demonstrating, and my friend was there, and she's a right-handed person. And I said, I'm not increasing, I'm not getting bigger, I'm only getting little tiny pots. And you know, I'm having problems. And she sat on the wheel and showed me. She said, hang on, you're doing it left-handed. Because when I sat there, I was doing it on the wrong side. And it's the momentum, the way the wheel goes around. You have to go on the right. Yeah, if you're right-handed, go on the right-hand side if it's turning this way. So then I had to relearn all the bad mistakes I've been doing for years. Oh yes, we did go, that's right, a friend of mine and me, we went on a little short course, which was all about throwing. And this was at a university, and it was some people had done things and some people hadn't done any pottery. I put my hand up, said, yes, I can throw. And then, of course, this was at that point, and I couldn't throw because I was having to relearn to do it the right way. So I looked like a right idiot, having said, yes, I can do it. And oh, I couldn't. So yeah, you have to learn through your mistakes, basically.
Yeah. So what was it? How old was the earliest pottery you do, did you say?
400 BC, when it starts
Yeah.
in this country.
Yeah.
Because we had a multi-period at Kentwell Hall where we became Stone Agers. So we built our own Stone Age hut. And there's Sarah Day, she was the inspiration. She said, who wants to be in the Stone Age? So we all put our hands up. Yes. Especially she took us in the woods and it was raining, and she showed us how to make fire. She whipped out all her equipment, chop, 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 and it's all damp. And then suddenly you see this spark of fire and you think, my God, she's a goddess. She can make fire. We are going to be Stone Agers.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, different people with different skills. So I thought, well, if you set it when I can make pots, I'm in. So yeah, she's called Memo the Cave Woman now. So she's
yes, funnily enough, she's someone that I've contacted to be on the podcast recently, but I haven't heard back yet. So hopefully at some point I'll get her on.
She's so busy. I mean, she went down the Thames, made a big canoe out of skins. Amazing she is, yeah.
The funny thing is, so actually, this will probably go out before the next one I record. They don't always go out in order. But I'm actually talking to Teresa tomorrow, who she went down the Thames with.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that one on the next episode. There's a little teaser for something I haven't done yet. Yeah. So when you're going back in history that far, I'm assuming we're talking before pots are thrown on wheels. So the techniques are a bit different.
Oh yeah. That's all hand done. It's all hand done stuff. So you're talking things like, I mean, up in Orkney, I mean, they've had a few pots up there, and Skara Brae. So we had some nice holidays, actually. We really got into thinking about, you know, the Stone Age. Oh, and then we moved on. Jack wanted to go, this is Jack Green, wanted to go on to Bronze Age. So, and I love beaker pots. I mean, of a period that is really, really a fantastic, you know, these beakers, they had so many different inclusions in them that were magical to them. They might grind up the bones of their ancestors, put them in, and then you'd have the property of your ancestors. They might put in, well, they put in flint. Flint was obviously important to them. All sorts of inclusions. And we went down into the British Museum. I took quite a few people, about 10 or 11 of us all went. And he got this massive beaker pot, really huge. And I got to hold it. And oh, that was lovely. Fantastic sort of thing. But yes. So yeah, we keep evolving of different periods that we're interested in.
So you obviously you do the reenactment side of things as well, then.
Yes,
as much as, but from all the periods that you cover for pottery, you're also doing reenactment.
Yes, oh yes, absolutely. Because Tim, my husband, he likes Regency, and so do I. So some of the times at the multi-period, if I'm in the Stone Age or Iron Age or whatever, I come and dress up for a day to have a cup of tea, because he's in the hat shop with Annie the Peddler, which is Annotts. So yes, so yeah, there's pottery from that. I just get, I don't know, you get like there's a rabbit hole, isn't it? There's something else to learn about and do something new. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it does spread off once you start on one.
Yes.
As you know, I'm starting to look at Bronze Age now, so I'm moving away. I'm not away from, but as well as the Saxon and Viking. It's
I think the technology in the Bronze Age is absolutely fabulous as well. You know, we started with the wool, the flax, the weaving. You know, so many things were invented. Even the cart. You know, there was a little cart as well. So I made a little cart with my little goddess that sits in the cart, which yeah,
I'm just
it's
amazed that you find time to cover all these different periods. I struggle to keep up with one.
that's because I'm retired now.
Ah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's got worse. Yes, it's just, well, I suppose it's full time in the pottery. When I'm, here, I'm always doing something in the pottery or something with costume. But it's amazing what you can cobble together over years of collecting bits and pieces.
Mm.
Another thing we're going to do again at Kentwell Hall is Magic Weekend. So we're going to be collectors of curiosities. So I
Cool.
ended up making a voodoo doll. And you're going to collect all sorts of things, and we're going to maybe look like steampunk, because it's completely different. You can
Yeah.
be fairies, you can be plastic, you can be, and I thought, I haven't been steampunk, I've got Victorian, I'm just going to pump it up with a bit of steampunk because it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? You're
yeah,
supposed to enjoy
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually thought that you moved into doing pottery because this is obviously your business now, even though
Mm.
you say you're retired,
Yeah,
semi-retired.
it is retiring, because that's not a job. That's playing. That's playing and getting paid for it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. But as I say, I thought that's what you did for a living. So that's
No, I
yeah,
worked in a school, but I never worked
yeah,
full time.
yeah,
My husband's a teacher, and I was just the help, the teacher assistant, but to
yeah,
deaf kids. So I think I did do four. I've never done a full week. Not Well, no. Okay, my very first job was in the Bank of England, so I have had proper jobs in the past, but
yeah,
quickly realised it's much nicer to be at home with your kids or doing something
yeah.
else, and then not working in banks and boring places like that. But yeah, going into school, helping the kids was, something nice. So I suppose I did a little less pottery then. And yeah, pottery was just a hobby, and the dressing up's a hobby. And then you end up producing so much stuff that it comes a sort of a business, doesn't it, really? But I don't do masses of selling in different places. I just pick the ones I like.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I do Arm in, yeah, twice a year, and the one in St Ives, the Cambridge Living History. They're the two main ones. And then maybe sometimes I get paid to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a guy called Rob Butler who employs me to go and interact with kids as well, and they get to, I don't know, maybe make a dragon pot, a witch pot. It could be any period. Actually, he's the one who said, right, can you be a Viking? So yes, right, okay. So I had to adapt my medieval dress into Viking. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
the last one I saw you at was Hastings. You do that one as well, don't you, normally?
Oh yes, yes, yes. That's in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I applied for that years ago, and they were so busy before the pandemic. I think they had
Yeah.
lots of people coming from abroad, so I didn't quite get into that one. But since the pandemic, I think they're quite glad that somebody still wants to be there. So that's been, yeah, quite nice.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize how many Vikings and Saxons there were. But I also
There's a
did
few
that.
of us.
Yep, I did that Viking. Oh, what was it? Was it 50 years or 500 years? I can't remember. In Derbyshire. Oh God,
Oh
what was?
yeah, that was the Viking Society
Yeah,
50th. Yeah.
that's it. It was the 50th, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Loco Park.
Bucko Park. That's it. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Well, that was it. They
Yes.
absolutely. There was thousands of them. Absolutely thousands of.
Actually, I got two jugs from you at that one.
That's it. Yeah. Did you
I
get the
did.
baby?
I did, yeah. So I bought you'll be pleased to know this one's been in the fire a bit. So it was
Oh
white
yeah.
when I bought it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as white as the inner.
My God, that's
Creamy.
good. I
And
love it
then
going in the
and then I
fun.
came back later on, I bought the baby version.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the only baby one I've made. I keep meaning to make some more.
Oh, well, now I know it's the only one. You're going to have to just keep it to that one, I'm afraid. That's exclusive.
I used to make little tiny miniatures as well, really tiny, tiny things. I
Yeah.
keep meaning to make some toy type ones for people, you know, for their kids to play with. Because they did
Yeah.
have little, you know, they have found little miniature versions of different things, different periods, medieval ones as well. But yeah, I mean, if you could have seen, like, it wasn't working out in the workshop, you'd have seen all the tiny little miniatures I've got on the side there.
Yeah, so just to explain to anyone that's watching or listening, we did try to do this from your workshop, but there was a bit of connection issue. So
Yeah. So we're
we
in the
can't
right
do.
cemetery.
I'd say we could do a show and tell with what I've got if you like. What else have I've got the cup I was drinking from, which you made.
Oh yes, yeah,
You made me a bunch of those for my courses.
yeah.
Very sort of standard Saxon sort of cup. What else have I got here? That was the one I bought at Hastings, actually. So that's the
Oh
little
yes,
bowl.
yeah, yeah.
That's my personal eating bowl. I love it. It just fits perfectly in the hand.
Oh, lovely. Oh, excellent
Yeah.
stuff.
What else have we got? Oh, we've got the style. This one's quite popular at events. People often ask me about this one that hangs off the rope.
Oh yes, oh yes, that's nice. I haven't seen it hung. It'd be nice to. So would you have a tripod then? You hang it on.
Yeah, hang it off a tripod. One time I put it on the fire and for some reason the rope snapped, but luckily it was as I was just taking it off. So I had
Oh
it in my hand.
God.
Yeah. But I have had people ask whether it's supposed to be hung or if it's a pouring jug,
It is a
which,
hanging one, I think. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it works as both. I often use it
Yeah.
to pour from.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. The only other one I've got here is a more standard pot there.
Oh yes. Yeah.
All my pots are black. My fingers are coming off back. Where they go in the fire.
It's amazing when they come out of the fire, the transformation of it, really. I mean, a lot of the terracotta ones, when I burnished it, that's so satisfying to put a
yeah.
shine on it, and that helps with making them. You know, the liquid won't come out so easily. It's almost like a glaze, really.
I think the only other one, I think you made these as well, didn't
Yeah,
you? The little
yeah,
candles, the little, I think that's Hedeby, isn't it? Hedeby with the
yeah,
little lid. These have
yeah.
got, that one's animal fat, like a lard. Sorry, tallow, not lard. And I've got another one. I try to have different examples. So I've got one with beeswax.
Ah, yeah, nice. One of each.
Um, yeah. Um, I think that might be an interesting thing to talk about actually, because you were
Mm.
talking about sealing pots.
Yes.
So for modern uses, you obviously seal these with a more modern finish because they've got quite a glaze on the inside.
Yes, yes. I mean, some societies don't want any glaze at all. That's why I do a bit of both, really.
Mm,
So, and it depends on, you know, their particularities, whether they want the glaze or not. But really, technically, the glaze comes in about, well, Stanford, about 800 AD, really. So anything before that should be unglazed. And then,
yeah,
you know, if you burnish it, I have a back of a spoon. It would have been a stone, but it's so much easier with a nice
yeah,
bend. You know, you get a spoon and you bend it and you burnish it, and that makes a hell of a difference, really. And if you get your hand in and burnish on the inside as well, that's kind of double whammy, making it really super good. But the more you cook in it, and the more, if you have anything like milk, you're cooking, anything
yeah,
with fatty stuff gets a nice sort of patina on it, really.
yeah,
I mean, there is issues sometimes with drying some of them that haven't got the glaze on as well, that, you know, they can go a bit moldy, but you have to make sure they're thoroughly dry before they're put away or upend them. My Stone Age pot, that managed, somebody else was cooking and they managed to crack because they weren't turning it maybe enough, or it was too near the
yeah,
flame or something. But that has lasted me, oh, it's been about 5 years now with the crack, and the crack's right down the side, and I still take a chance on it. And I don't know whether it kind of expands as it's cooking to sort of seal that crack.
I have the same, so that this one here has a crack in it actually, and it has had for some time. I don't know, you probably won't be able to see it on there because it runs sort of down that way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you can hear it pop sometimes when it's in the fire, and I think this is going to, but touch wood, it hasn't gone yet.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But so did you, I hear you right, you said that the glaze comes in about 800.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a similar glaze to what are on the pots you use, is it?
Yes, yes. I mean, obviously it would have had lead in it, so we haven't got lead. It's sort of lead free, you know. So we try and make things like they were. And also it's like I make bellamines, which would have been salt glazed. Well, I don't do salt glazing because once you've done salt in a kiln, everything will be salt glazed. It kind of goes everywhere. So I use a commercially bought glaze that looks like it as much as you can, you know. So you've got to treat it with sensibility, really. But yeah, so we do it so it's as food safe as you can get. Yeah,
I didn't realize that the glaze came in as early as that, to be honest. That's a new one for me.
It wouldn't have been everywhere either, but it, you know, it does start in. Oh no, I mean the Romans, they did have. I've seen green glaze on, and there weren't many of those either. So there was glaze around, you know, and in different countries as well. But in our country, you know, what they found, basically, yeah.
Because I've tried. Sorry, go on.
Oh, well, I'm just saying that the Romans coming in, I mean, they brought the wheel with them, and they're really fine ware. Yeah. And then we go back from the wheel, forget about it when they've gone, and it's not so much the wheel. And yeah, it's funny, all this technology, and it's interesting to sort of work out where it's come from and who used it, and where it all disappeared to. I don't know. Haven't really got the whole answer on that, really.
Yeah. I was going to say, we've played around on, I think I showed you a pot at Hastings, didn't I? That a friend of mine had made. Which,
oh, yes. Yeah.
And we've played around with finishes on that. So we've tried beeswax melted, and that really just keeps soaking in and doesn't seem to do an awful lot. Trying to think what else we've done. We've done the milk thing. So we fill it with milk.
Yeah.
Leave it overnight, empty it, and then bake it, and it goes like plastic.
Yeah.
Which I was told that's a Roman technique as well.
Yes, yeah.
But that works fairly well. Not so good for my wife because she's got a dairy allergy though. So we have to be a bit careful with that one. What was the other one? Oh, just olive oil. Just to seal it. Yeah. And sort of bake it on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of mine I will get, you know, a brush and brush it inside as well if they haven't got glaze on it. So it's got some kind of cooking oil or olive oil or something on it, just to help, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple more questions I haven't got to. I should go back to my actual list rather than just getting distracted. I was going to ask you whether you had a favorite pot from history out of all the things you've made.
A favorite pot? Oh my goodness! Out of all of them, well, I think it would be a beaker pot. I think because it is so very special, and all the inclusions that you can talk about and say. Also, I use, it's not little bird bones, but it's a chicken bones. You know, so to make the marks, if you use like shells, all the natural things, and they could find out string technology. So when you get a little piece of string, put it on your finger and you put that in, they see that in the pot, which is kind of cool, I think. You know, they learn an awful lot from pottery. It dates, you know, when they find a pit somewhere, it can date the whole thing. If they've got they know how to test for age as well, I suppose, on the pot.
We find out the contents too, don't we, from that?
Oh,
they can tell what's been cooked in the pot in the past.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
tells us an awful lot. Yeah. Yeah. So what's the most challenging piece you've ever worked on?
Oh, some of the challenging pieces are things like the puzzle cups. When you do a puzzle cup, you throw it very thin on top, flip it over at the last minute, and join it again. So it's got a perfect circle like a straw around the top.
Yeah.
And then you've got to put on all the little spouts so that you can drink from one of them. And then when you come to glaze it, you're filling up all those holes again. So you might wash it when you're making it. So you have to test whether they work. I did have quite a lot that didn't quite work for one reason or other. Either I squashed it or the glaze had gone into it. So now I get a nice little pipette and put some water down after I've glazed it, and then push that through as quick as I can without ruining the rest of the glaze, to make sure that they actually work. So they're technically quite challenging. Yeah. Oh, and there's a Pythagoras cup as well, the greedy cup. Have you heard of that?
Don't know that one, no.
No, well, I do Greek stuff as well. And it's a cup where it's like a goblet and you pour in the wine, but if you pour in too much and you're greedy, it all comes out the bottom.
Oh.
So it's got a hole in the bottom and there's a sort of a tube, and over the tube you put another piece, but that's got a hole in. Right. So if it goes above this tube, which is inside the cup, that's when it sort of siphons off. That's really cool. Really weird too.
That's really interesting. I'll have to look up a picture of that one.
I know. Oh, and Assassin's Teapot. That's quite weird too. Have you ever heard of the Assassin's Teapot?
No.
Right. There's a teapot that's sort of cut in half, so it's got two halves.
Yeah.
You can't open the lid. It's all enclosed. And you have a hole, two holes. So to pour in your two things, you'd have to use a long sort of spout. But anyway, you pour a cup of tea. So one side is poisonous tea and the other side is not poisonous. Or it could
sounds risky.
It could be gin and tonic. It could be, two different coloured drinks. And when you hold your finger over the hole, it creates a vacuum, so it only pours out. So
from
you
the
think
one
about in half. Yeah. So one half does one and one half does the other. That's tricksy.
It sounds risky for the assassin too. I mean,
yes.
You get that wrong.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. Chinese, obviously.
Awesome. So, is there anything else that you think we should bring up that I haven't asked you about yet?
What did I do in the pandemic? Did I do anything in the pandemic? Did I sit down and make pots? You think all that lovely time, right? I'm always out in the workshop when I'm here.
Yeah.
Come the pandemic, you can't go anywhere. What do I want to do? I want to get out and go somewhere. That's perverse, isn't it? So I didn't really make an awful lot of pots. But what I thought would be quite cool is making our own funeral urns, because I thought that'd be quite funny. And
okay.
I thought that was okay, we're all dying, so let's make a little pot to put ourselves in. So I'll show you Tim's one. So if it's only over here, I'm gone.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So see, it's got a face, and then another little face on top.
Yeah.
And then at the back, I don't know, can you see it's inscribed?
Yeah. Yeah, you got a bike.
There might be licorice, all sorts.
I see a radio, a book.
Yeah, all the things he likes.
Yeah.
So I thought that'd be quite cool. But the thing is, that's only tiny, isn't it? I didn't realise how many ashes that you would actually have to have. Ooh, crash. And he's tall. So my next one is mine.
Yeah.
So, right, that's a bit bigger and I'm smaller, obviously. So I've got the green man here.
Yeah.
And another green man on top. And then at the back, some inscribed things. There might be a wheel there. There might be some dressing up.
Yeah.
I don't know quite what in there. Oh, Stone Age stuff. Oh, music. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. Yeah.
Knocked you off then.
My wife's maiden name's actually Green Man, so she'd be quite impressed to see that.
But I have made a couple of other ones. So once I've told people, oh, I've made that, then I did make one for one poor trader who wanted a Saxon pot. So I made that one. And somebody who isn't dead yet, she wanted one already made with a Tudor lady on, a nude lady, because she did nude posing, you know, for people to draw. And something else. What did you want? So medieval and Tudor. That's right, ladies. So I ended up making another one.
I'm fairly certain there was another episode I did a few weeks back. Do you know Pucky B?
Yes.
Vanessa? And I'm sure she showed me a pot that was for her ashes. I'm sure she's got one. Yeah. I know someone recently did. I think it was Vanessa.
Quite probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I can only put part of Tim in his.
Well, what we did, so we lost our dog recently, and we put him in a replica Saxon pot, a little dinky one. I mean, it was probably no bigger than one of these little cups.
Yeah.
But what we've done is we've also spread his ashes, because it occurred, someone mentioned to me that you don't have to spread the ashes in one place.
Ah.
So we put some inside the Wicker Man at Butser for Beltane.
Yeah.
There's some in our garden, there's some in the urn, and there's a couple of other places we're going to do later this year. So we've only got a bit of him in the urn. So it kind of works. You don't need as big an urn if you also spread some, you see. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah.
And then I had to work out what to seal it with, because it was an open top. So I've just glued a piece of leather on top.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And then I took his name tag and I've attached that to the leather.
Oh,
so that's that in our living room. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
That was a nice, cheery conversation.
Well, I don't worry about death, really. I mean, I've lived a good life, you know.
Yeah.
And enjoyed yourself. What more can you ask for, basically?
Yeah. Yeah. And they do. There's a place near us. I think it's probably fully booked now, but they've started to do barrows where you can pay for like a shelf in a barrow for your urn.
Oh, wow. Oh, that would be interesting.
I think there's a few locations, but there's one that's just up the road from us.
Yeah.
And it's never open. I think they open it on the solstice or something for people to come in and celebrate. But most of the year you got like an iron gate that you can kind of peer in and have a look. It's
fabulous.
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be a way to go. But I think they charge a fair whack to be buried that way.
I'd quite like a Viking burial, actually. I'd love. I know they didn't. Did they send an arrow, you know, to the boat when you're out?
It's a bit of a movie trope, I think, for that one.
I'd love that. I really would.
Yeah.
It'd be quite cool.
When you have boat burials where people were buried with an entire ship full of goods, there's a few of those around. Yeah.
You burn quite a few boats as well, don't you?
Not me personally,
No.
but go to events where it's a very popular thing. Yeah. So Butser do one, which is like a wicker boat.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same company that they employ a company that makes a wicker boat, and they do the wicker man for Beltane as well.
Yeah.
And so obviously being wicker, it burns fairly well. And then a few weeks back, we were in the Whirl, which I think you've probably
Yeah.
seen the video from that one. And that was a wooden boat that was, I think it was made by like carpentry students or something. It was like a little project. And it was a proper wooden boat that got burned.
It looked like a proper boat.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, I went to the Valhalla one up in top there. What do you call it? Oh, mine's gone now.
Is that is it Basingstoke area?
No, up the not Orkneys, beyond that. What's it called?
Oh, you mean up Halla?
Yeah.
Is it up Halla? Something like that, isn't it?
Uphilia.
Uphilia, yeah.
Oh God, what's it called?
I haven't been to that one.
The place, isn't it?
No, when you said Valhalla, I thought you meant because there's
Shetland, isn't it? Yeah. Shetland.
There is a Valhalla festival, and I think it's more Basingstoke way, but I think that's more.
Right, yeah, yeah. So it's Uphilia, isn't it? I'm getting it mixed up now.
Yeah.
But then I'm not a real Viking. Not yet. I have made the last costume I did make was a Viking one because it's quite cool.
Yeah.
So might join a Viking group. Who knows?
Do it. Although I'm Saxon biased, so you know.
Oh, I find it really hard to tell the difference between the two.
To be honest with it, within reenactment, people tend to swap and change depending on the event. So if I'm at a certain event and I need to be a Viking, I'll wear a hammer instead of a cross. You know.
Yeah.
Whereas the Vikings would have worn crosses as well. It all depends.
Yes.
We had a bunch of angry Vikings at the weekend because they all were told they had to be Saxons, and for some reason, no one wants to be a Saxon.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So, I have some questions that I ask every guest.
Yes.
Just for fun. And then I'll let you get on with your evening, if that's all right.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Although, when we finished, if we stay on the line briefly, because I'd like to talk to you about bronze age pots.
Yeah.
All right. So, the first question is, if you had an unlimited budget, what would be your dream project?
Unlimited. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Yeah. I would love a Viking ship. With the lovely, fantastic, curly ends. I don't know. What's that kind of? Is it a dragon they have on
the dragon heads, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
To have something like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be dead cool. And then I could get buried in it if I have enough space in the garden.
You're going to need a bigger garden. They're quite big.
Yeah. But the shape of them is so beautiful, isn't it? I mean, the way they go through the water must have been fantastic.
There are some about like replicas and things that if you ever want to try going on one.
Oh, wow.
You can, yeah.
With one?
There are. I think I think Regia might have one, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the Viking Society, we have a couple of smaller boats, from my knowledge.
Haven't they got a nice little house as well they've built all to themselves?
Is that Regia?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's called Wickhurst.
Yeah, it's all to themselves. I said, oh, don't you let everybody in? I want to go and have a look.
I was recently invited, actually.
Were you? Oh.
I haven't been yet, but it's on the to-do list. Yeah. But yeah, if you go to Norway as well, over by Oslo, they've got some replica ships as well that go out on the fjords.
Oh, I bet they have. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen them, but I've not been on them yet. All right. So, question number 2.
Yeah.
Do you think you could survive on a Viking Age diet?
I could survive on any. I'm a survivor. I mean, if I've lived in the Stone Age, okay, it wasn't for long, but foraging or you know, looking after yourself and eating whatever, if we can cook on stones and eat off a stone and pick berries and stuff or whatever, I could eat anything and I would survive. Absolutely. Sarah said to me right one time, oh, you'll do the cooking because we're finishing the thatching. Right. So how do I do it? I've got 2 pigeons. Well, how do I cook these? She said, right. She said, get hold of a flint, split them down the middle of their breast, rip, and then tear out all the flesh. You know, that's all you want is the breast. So I did that, and there's a whole school party coming right then, and I got bloody feathery hands, and I'm quite a clean potter and a clean, well, everything, clean stone ager. So I said, what do I do now? There's no water. I've got nowhere to put this. So any passing stone age person let me use them as a rag. So I wiped myself. But yes, I actually managed to cook something. That was fantastic. On the stone, the hot stone was beautiful, and that's the pigeon breast was lovely. So I'd survive whatever.
Okay, so the next question connected to that is there any food you'd miss if you were on a Viking Age diet?
Do you have lamb?
Yeah.
Vinegar?
Yeah.
Lamb, vinegar, potatoes. No, you don't have potatoes?
No potatoes.
No potatoes, no potatoes.
I think they're 16th or 17th century before we get potatoes.
Yeah.
Quite late, aren't they?
I should know that, shouldn't I? I know that in Tudor, but I'm just thrown because you're putting me in a period I haven't been in. Like I haven't thought about it. Because I mean, when we were in the Stone Age, we had to think, oh, what trees haven't we got? What food haven't we got? And the same with the Bronze and the Iron Age. It's unthinking everything you knew, isn't it, really? And doing your best to get into the swing of it all.
That's where I initially sort of got things not majorly wrong, but initially I started looking at what ingredients they had at the time and making dishes. But then you realize that those ingredients aren't available at the same time of year.
This is
so if you really get into it and start to go, well, hang on, that's not available when that is, so we can't do that.
No,
it gets complicated.
Absolutely.
All right, next question is slightly strange one. I'll explain it to you later if you want me to. What's the weirdest thing in your kitchen?
The weirdest thing in my kitchen, I have to think. Probably me. I mean, no, what is the weirdest thing in my kitchen? That's a hard one, actually. I'll have to have time to think of that one. My painting. I have a painting. Well, it's chalk and pastels I did. It's on the wall, and it's a crazy massive big pot, and it's my colors are all red and yellow, and I love bright colors, green, you know, and it's all different colors. So it's like a medieval pot, but it's all like that, all split up into colors and crazy in a sort of like a disappearing circle, like Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, okay.
So that's the craziest thing in my kitchen, probably.
Can you send me a picture?
Yes, I will.
Whilst you're describing it, I can get it to pop up so people can see what you're talking about.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, what's the worst food you've ever eaten?
Oh, the worst food, Brussels sprouts. I mean, as kids, we always had to eat everything on your plate, and you know, and might be a token. I might have a token one at Christmas, but it's something. It's the smell of it. I think once somebody did fry them with nuts and did something completely different. I think that was the only time it was acceptable, but I wasn't that enamored that I think I took that on board and then would recook it. But my husband loves Brussels sprouts, so we'd have to have them at Christmas and round about then. I try and forget them on the shopping list.
I think they're better than they used to be. I think the varieties have changed. I don't think they're quite as bitter as they were when I was a kid. Maybe that's my taste buds. I
think when you're young, we taste things much more violently. Yeah. And I think it does. The edges get dropped off, I think.
And being forced to eat stuff, like you say, you couldn't leave.
Oh, and it's our school food was like it was boiled, boiled to hell and back, in our day. Cabbage. The smell of cooking was always cabbage at school, wasn't it? It's like blah. So that put you off. Yeah. Nobody had a wok and fried things in an interesting way like that. Didn't know vegetables could be interesting really until we woked them and did things that that they're crunchy and they've got a bit of bite back.
Yeah. All right. What's the most memorable meal you've ever had?
Memorable meal. Oh, I think it must be. We went to China many years ago. My mum died and we had a little bit of money and we thought, right, let's go somewhere nice. And we were sailing on the Yangtze River and we had this amazing Chinese food. I mean, the Chinese food is completely different, We went to different areas as well. So each bit of Chinese food, some places had dumplings, other places had more like noodles. But sailing down the Yangtze with that and looking at all the gorge on a smallish boat, not a massive boat, was fantastic. And doing Tai Chi in the morning at 6 o'clock because it's so hot and sultry, but on top of a boat and looking at the gorge as you're going along. So that was quite a top memorable holiday.
There's a running theme with this one, isn't there? We keep coming back to boats.
Yes, I need my Viking boat.
All right, so the last question is, when you die, your relatives are preparing your grave goods. Yes. What food and drink are you taking to the feast in Valhalla?
Oh, champagne. Oodles and oodles of champagne or any bubbly kind of drink. Mead as well is nice. Yeah, okay. But I love lamb. I love roast potatoes, mint sauce. I drink vinegar by the gallon, so that and mint. Oh yeah, I'll be floating on it really.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast with me today. It's been a lot of fun. Where can people find you online? Have you got a website people can go to? Or
website? No, it's just a little old me. I've got a Facebook page, so if they look up Annotts Pots Facebook, then they can see all the weird things I'm making. Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. And thank you again, Nicky. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
If you enjoyed the show and want to hear more, remember to like and subscribe and give the show a rating. You can also help keep the show going by becoming a Patreon, where you'll get early access to all episodes. Or check out my range of merch on my store. Links are in the episode description. Thanks for watching.